Hi there, welcome. My name's Angela and you're joining me for the first ever episode of the Knitter Next Door podcast. I live in Mansfield in the UK. You're joining me in my home here, where I live with my husband Richard and my two sons Aidan and Ezra, our two naughty Bengal cats Lily and Teddy, and our silly staffy Layla Bean, or Bernard as we mostly refer to her. She answers to all names, it really doesn't matter. Okay, so basically what I wanted to do with today's podcast was really to talk to you about knitting, what's on my needles, a few bits and pieces of things that I've finished, and some knitting plans. What I don't want to do is get too far into the whys and wherefores, the who I am and everything else, because you know what, you don't know me. I really feel like I know a lot of you people out there, but I don't. So really, this was just my way of joining in the conversation, jumping straight in, getting on as if everybody already knows exactly who I am, and we'll just take it from there. If people have any questions for me, things that you'd like me to answer as you get a little bit more familiar with me and the things that I do, then absolutely feel 100% free to ask me pretty much anything. I can't guarantee that I will definitely answer. It depends on what you ask, but I think what I would like to do is to use any feedback to shape further episodes. But for now, what we'll do, or what I'll do, is just jump straight in. Okay, thank you. So, on my needles at the moment, the first thing I'd like to show you is sitting in a little project bag that I actually made myself. Okay, now I'm not particularly a sewist, so this was actually pretty good for me, I think. So anyway, it's a Japanese knot bag. Pattern is from a company called Indigo Bird Designs. It's just something I found on Etsy, and inside here is something really exciting. Okay, this pattern was only released last Wednesday night. That was in the US at 7:30. So here in England it was actually Thursday morning. It was released at midnight. It is called the Caramelized Cowl, and it's part of the N Club by Laura Nelkin Designs. Now at the moment this is a members only club. It has 3 instalments, 3 different patterns are released. The first one was back in January, and that was a poncho, and this is now the second instalment, released last week as I said, and it's actually for a cowl. Okay, so this is what I've been knitting on pretty much exclusively-ish. A little foray into my other whips, but fairly well exclusively for the last sort of week or so now, at least 5 days. And this is what I have. So it started with a provisional cast on into a fisherman's rib. Now I have to be careful here because my husband, when he was watching back a little bit of footage that I tried to record yesterday, he said, "Oh, I like the bit where you wave your whips at the camera with your spider fingers." So there's my spider fingers. We'll just get that bit out of the way because it's all I can think about. Okay, this was where I cast on. This is just a provisional cast on here. I'm still not quite finished. What I've got to do is to unzip this, and then there will be an extra panel attached. But for that, rather than knitting, as you can see, this has been knitted kind of that way. This extra panel will be knitted round that way instead. Okay, so anyway, it started with the provisional cast on, which was done over a crochet hook. I've never done that before actually. I've crocheted a chain and knit into the back bump before, but never have I actually just crocheted over the knitting needle. It was a really nifty technique actually. Really found that quite cool. I think I'll do that again. So from there it moves into, here I'll hold it this way up, a fisherman's rib, which is basically knit one, purl one, but what you're doing is alternating knitting into the stitch below and then purling as normal, with then on the next round purling into the stitch below and knitting as normal. So it just develops this kind of squishy, brioche, I suppose, texture that's kind of got lots of yarn overs in it. It's quite slow, but I quite like it. I really do. From there, we move into a 3x3 section, so it's 3 knits and 3 purls. It shows like a checkerboard texture, but interspersed in amongst that are these wrapped stitches and beaded sections. And it goes sort of wrap, bead, and then a plain bit, and then bead, wrap, bead, so on and so forth. Come to the middle, there's some more fisherman's ribs there. Look how squishy that is. Look at it, squish. Another quilted section, and then fisherman's rib. And then last night, I actually did my first ever I-cord bind off. I'm actually really impressed with how that works out. It's a bit slow. Took me about 300 years to do it, but I really like the effect. It reminds me of French knitting. You know, you used to do that on the little bobbins as a kid. Reminds me of that. That's really cool. I'm clearly very late to the party on most things that I'm doing in knitting. I would like to point out I've only actually been knitting for a year, so you're going to hear a lot of, this is the first time I've done this. This is the first time I've done that. Ooh, this is the first time I've seen this. Ooh, I've never done this before. Okay, this is all just symptomatic of the fact that I'm a massive knitting noob. Okay, I've been able to knit since I was 5, which if you're Sherlock and you can do a bit of detective work from my various different online names, you'll be able to figure out it's going to be roughly 34 years ago. However, I haven't knit at all probably for 20 years or so at least. Okay, my friend Kezia, who you may well get to meet at some point, I don't know, we'll see. But my friend Kezia, she turned up to my house with a load of crochet that she was doing. At that point, I was really almost exclusively into cross stitch and embroidery, real speciality type stuff. I've been doing that for many years, and she brought around the crochet. She's like, oh, I don't know how you can do embroidery, it's so tedious and painstaking and it takes so long, and I like to be able to make things that, you know, I don't have to spend the time over. I was thinking, yeah, but I kind of like that tedious and painstaking, it's just kind of appeals to me. Anyway, she showed me a cowl that she was doing, which was a Janie Crow. It was the Lily Pond cowl, and I don't know, something about it really just appealed to me. Just the fact that there were all these little bits and they all sort of joined together, and you know, it was all speciality stitches, and anyway, I looked into it and essentially fell down a giant rabbit hole. And it would transpire that crochet was my gateway craft, if you want to look at it in that way. So I did the Lily Pond. I then I crocheted what's called Sophie's Universe. I don't know whether any of you will be aware of this. I'm sure maybe you will. Hang on a sec. So I wasn't planning on showing you this, but it's cropped up, so I'm going to do now anyway. But this is Sophie's Universe. This is free pattern online, and it is just the most gorgeous, happy, gigantic thing in the world. And yeah, so this was as a result of my friend Kezia coming round and telling me all about her blooming crochet. And you know what, I'm even holding that backwards, and it even looks nice backwards. Okay, well done. Here you go, you actually get to see it properly now. Look at that in all its glory. Sophie's Universe with some extra squares on the side. So I knitted this, what did I say, knitted? I crocheted, idiot. I crocheted this around about a year or so it took me. It was probably the last thing I did before I went off on maternity leave to have my son Ezra. Yeah, anyway, while I was pregnant, my hands seized up and I couldn't do embroidery anymore. I was struggling to hold the crochet hook, and so I got into knitting. There is more to it than that, but I will talk to you more about that another time. I don't know how I even got onto that. How did I get onto that? Anyway, you've seen Sophie. There we go. Back to this thing. There's another instalment later on in the year. I don't know what I was talking about. I don't know why. How did I get onto Sophie's Universe? No one knows. No one knows. So, yeah. So it ends with this lovely I-cord bind off, which reminds me of French knitting, but much, much prettier than French knitting. You know what? I did that loads as a kid, and there was never anything that I could ever use it for, but I was kind of obsessed with doing it. But anyway, here we go. I could bind off, first time I've ever done it, because I'm a massive noob where knitting's concerned. I've only been doing it for about a year, and this will now move into the final section, which is actually knitted in that direction, not that direction. I have to unzip this provisional cast off, and then there's like an attached panel that's knitted onto it, which looks really interesting. So hopefully this should be finished within the next couple of days. Now, to talk about the yarn that it's made from, this is by a company called the Kettle Yarn Company, which is run by a lady called Lencovic, from what I can see online. This particular fibre is yak down silk and superwash merino mix. It's called her Beyul range, and this is the singles version of the Beyul. So this is just a single ply fingering weight. Comes in 120 gram skein with 480 metres of yarn, so that's 522 yards. This colourway was dyed for the club, so this is completely exclusive, and it's called Praline, and I think it's absolutely gorgeous. The colours actually, as I see it on my screen, I don't know about your monitor, but on my screen that is coming out virtually exactly the same. It's like this sort of beautiful coppery, bronzy colour, and yeah, it's just gorgeous. It is hand dyed. It's made from yak down. Yak down. Okay, let's just take a moment. Yaks made this. My husband, when asked to describe the softest thing he could possibly think of, decided that that would be newborn baby kitten farts. So, yep, this is as soft as a newborn baby kitten fart, according to Richie B. It is, though. It's so gorgeous. The one sort of warning we were given by Laura is just to kind of treat this fibre with care, not too much abrasion and stuff like that, because with it only being a single ply, it is sort of fairly prone to pilling. So the idea being that it's a low abrasion garment, it's a cowl, it's not going to be moving around a huge amount, so hopefully pilling shouldn't be too much of a problem. But you couldn't, well, you could, but it would be unwise to use this to knit like a sweater or something like that. I think you get like a significant amount of pilling. They Kettle Yarn Company do the Beyul in other plies though, so they do have you know, other variants available. So that's my current whip. Moving on, I do have another couple of bits and pieces on the needles at the moment. I'm so easily led. So basically, from watching podcasts such as, now who do I watch? I watch Kristen Vullenvine Yarns, the Yarngasm podcast. I watch Meg on Badwolfgirl Sits and Knits. I watch CraftTea Chat with Hannah from just down the road, actually, in Nottingham. And sort of the things that I've ended up knitting have been really based on being inspired by those guys. So let me just pick a few bits and pieces out. This one, oh, I love this. I absolutely love this. This is my Shusui Shrug. This is a pattern available on Ravelry by Susanne Sommer, who is pretty well known for her Brioche knits. And this, oh gosh, so it was a knit along that that Meg and Hannah, and I think there was a couple of other people involved, were running I didn't particularly join the knit along, but I just absolutely adored the pattern. I saw Meg doing it in like this minty green colour, and oh my god, it was just gorgeous. So I went out and bought some yarn, and I got it from Knit Cosmic Strings. I chose some complementary colours. All your knitting on summer, put all your knitting on summer. So, love it. Yeah. So that's where I've got to. This is where I've got to so far. That's the back, and this is the front. I have a little stitch marker on the front there, made by Hannah. Hello. Manakiniko. Cat. And yeah, so anyway, these are the wings. These aren't the needles that I've been using for it. This is just some that I stuck on the end because I didn't have any protectors and I needed this size to make my cowl. But yeah, look at that. Look at that, that's the wing. This is an arm. This is like the seam that goes over the shoulder and down the top of your arm, and then it comes into the sleeve section here. I've already separated the sleeves off now. This is the back. And down the other shoulder, the sleeve, and then finally the front. I have approximately 387,452 stitches in a row at the moment, and of course, because it's brioche, every row has to be done twice. What do you think? Anyway, it's taken me a little while. To be honest, I was fairly pleased to have the distraction of the cowl, something that I could just kind of knit up in a few days, and then I'll come back to this with some gusto and renewed fervour. What I do like, I have to say, is that I couldn't choose whether I wanted the light side to have the light colour, or whether I wanted it, you know, the right side, if you want to say it has a right side and a wrong side, or whether I wanted it to feature the dark colour. But because it's brioche, it's fairly, and I say fairly because it's not exactly reversible, but it's fairly reversible. You don't quite get the same definition on the dark side as you get on the light. You can see the kind of the spine bit is missing. You don't really get quite so much detail, but I think if you didn't know, you wouldn't know. If you weren't a knitter, let's say, you wouldn't know which was the right and the wrong side. And I think it's just as beautiful on both sides. And so I think spring, summer, autumn, winter, oh yeah. So yeah, I get more mileage out of this now. And it's, oh god, it's gorgeous. I can't wait. I absolutely cannot wait to wear this thing. It is just fabulous. The yarn I'm using is from Knit Cosmic Strings. I first encountered them at Edinburgh Yarn Festival that I went to earlier on this year. And I just thought, oh my god, amazing. But I'd already spent all my money on some townhouse yarns, which I will come to later. So anyway, I ordered online later. Now then, what colours are they? It's called Marshmallow, the lighter one, and then the darker one is Fable. So yeah, Marshmallow and Fable. It's I'm using single ply, so they're Skinny Singles yarn. I'll put all the proper details in the description box for you. So yeah, because I've not written everything down, which was a bit foolish on reflection, but hey ho. You know what, I've been trying to do this thing for so long, and I've been thinking about it for so long, I'm sending myself up the wall. So I just think, look, done in is better than perfect, okay? Because if I try for perfect, it's never going to get done. So I'll put all the information in the down box and in the description box, and hopefully as time goes on I'll get a little bit less rambly and incoherent and a little bit more prepared. But yeah, there you go. So that's my Shusui. I absolutely adore it. I'm really can't be that far off finished, to be perfectly honest. Now I split for the sleeves and stuff. I've got another, I can't remember just how many repeats it is to do. The only problem being that obviously we're increasing and increasing and increasing. So yeah, but you know, I love it. I do. I absolutely love it. And it's now got to the point as well. When I first started it, I was really having to pay attention, I guess. So it wasn't exactly what I would call TV knitting. I was getting a little bit frustrated by it, and I think Hannah found the same thing actually from watching her podcast. She was finding, you know, it was just taking a little bit too much concentration for her liking, which I completely get. I've stuck with it, and now I literally could knit this thing with my eyes shut. I don't particularly have to think about it at all. I think it's been programmed in. It's there in the muscle memory now. All the repeats and what to do, and it's just a mindless knit now. I can kind of almost fall asleep knitting it. So really now it's a case of dedicating the time to it rather than anything else. So yeah, that's that one. That's living in this little project bag. I want to show it you. I have no idea who made it, and I can't find any labels on it, but it's that project bag, and I think it's gorgeous. My mum gave it to me. It doesn't have any particularly special features. It's not really got any handles or anything like that, but it's just lovely. It's just lovely, and the colours are gorgeous and the fabric's gorgeous, so that lives in there. Here. This is what it is. It is 100% superwash merino 4-ply fingering. 366 metres or 400 yards per 100 grams. Knit Cosmic Strings. As I say, Fable. And the other one was Marshmallow. So that's it. Here's what the cakes look like. The skeins. Oh my god, the skeins were amazing. Caked up, it still looks absolutely beautiful, but the skeins, they were just amazing. If you don't know Knit Cosmic Strings, if you haven't already had a look at their stuff, please look them up. They are just amazing. Such talented guys. Met them at Edinburgh. Chap called Fu and his lady wife, maybe, called Beatrice, I think. Anyway, Knit Cosmic Strings. No. Cosmic Strings. Not Knit Cosmic Strings. I don't know why I keep putting the knit bit. Anyway, whatever. What's also inside that little bag is this. Little lavender pouch. Little lavender sachet my mum got me for my birthday. It's from a lady called Little Bun Designs. You can find her on Etsy. Little Bun Designs. I believe the lady's name is Paula, and she's lovely. Anyway, that's Shusui. I want to make some more of these when I'm done. I really, really have enjoyed that pattern so much. Anyway, should I show you any more whips? I have got several more whips. You know what? I think I'm going to leave it, and I think I'll show you something next time. I've got another 2 or 3 things actually on the needles, but I don't want to bore you too much. What I'd like to do is just to show you a couple of finished objects. Going back to the N Club, I will show you the first thing that I actually made. This is called Flowsake. Flowsake. She named the pattern after her Flowsake stitch that she's actually designed. Now then, this is a poncho with a lacy bit at the top, and then this lacy Flowsake stitch that goes all the way down the poncho to the bottom, and it is just gorgeous. It's asymmetrical. What you've got is a line that sort of goes off to one side on the front, and then it goes straight down your back at the back. And I just love this thing. Actually, I'm gonna put it on, and you can see how this looks. It's gorgeous. Not the right weather for it at the moment at all, but it's such a nice design. I love it. Again, this was yarn that was hand dyed specifically for the club. Just show you that. And I knit this in about a week because I got really giddy and excited about it. Anyway, that's that. Okay, so that's my flows ache. Can't really tell you much of any detail about the yarn involved, but again, it was exclusive to the kit. The pattern will be released, I would imagine, next January. It's supposed to be a year after each pattern's released that they're available to the people that weren't signed up for the club. So that'll be out next year. But it's so wonderful to do. It literally flew off the needles, and I love this stitch. It's just fab. It's just something completely different, and with all the little beads and things, I just love it. Okay, so that's that. And then I did this shawl. This is beaded lace. And this is called the Mountain Mist Shawl, and this is by a lady called Julie Harris. Of Watercolours and Lace, and it is just beautiful, absolutely beautiful. Took me around about a month to make, and yeah, I loved it, absolutely loved it. Never particularly knitted lace before that. I'd done a couple of bits and bobs. I'd learnt how to read the charts and how to do the yarn overs, but I'd never undertaken anything like this at all. And yeah, look at that. It's just made with sock yarn, some Malabrigo sock. But, oh god, it's gorgeous. It's really, really lovely. So yeah, Julie Harris, Watercolours and Lace. I knit this as part of a knit along. I joined the group on Ravelry called Never Enough Lace, and this Julie's pattern was the one that had been chosen for that particular knit along. So I bought the pattern, used some yarn that I had in my stash. I won the cast on prize actually, which was to choose another pattern of Julie's free of charge. So that was nice, that was good. And yeah, after, I don't know, couple of months, something like that, I'd finished, and that's what I got. But yeah, I love that. Julie's got some amazing patterns. Don't be intimidated. I mean, this thing's got thousands of beads and yarn overs and stuff, but you know, if I could do it, anyone could do it. Complete knitting noob, and that's what I got. So there we go. Did you like that? I just scratched my ear for you. That's lovely, that, isn't it? I've got this shawl. You see the orange peeping up. Hello. So this is a shawl called All About That Brioche by Maliha Designs. I don't know how to say her name, and I really do apologise if you ever see this and you saw me completely massacring your name, but there we go, Maliha Designs. You get the picture. And yeah, here it is. This was my first foray into two-colour brioche. I just wanted something that was fairly simple. I probably bit off a little bit more than I could chew, I thought, in terms of the decreases and increases, which became apparent as I was doing it. However, as part of the pattern, there is a little pattern for a tiny, tiny, teeny little test shawl, where you basically do the entire shawl, but it comes out about this big, and just do a small amount of stitches, so you get to be able to practice the increases, you get to practice the decreases. So I thought that was really, really cool, that you could knit something tiny and just basically figure out, you know, whether you're competent to be able to knit the bigger item before you get like 3 million stitches on your needles and go, shit, I don't know how to do this bit, or I don't know how to undertake that decrease without mangling it. So yeah, that was really, really useful. This gorgeous colour is called Neon Watermelon, and it is by Skein Queen. Superwash Merino, and then it goes into Arctic Fox here, which I believe was Madelinetosh. It's either Madelinetosh or it's Malabrigo. It's one of those. So sort of semi-commercially but hand-dyed yarns. Merino, superwash. Anyway, I love how it turned out. I'm not very good at wearing it. I don't know quite why, but I'm just no good at figuring out how to put these things on. But yeah, something like that will do, I think. I like it. I need to figure out how to wear it. I want the orange to show. Never really seem to get enough orange on show. Anyway, beautiful. So that's that. So all about that brioche, patterned by Malaya. She literally could not be any more helpful in her pattern. She walks you through exactly what to do. Even so with brioche done like this on straight, you have to do 2 passes on each row, and then before you turn round, and she'll say at the end of the row, slide your stitches, don't turn. And just to have that written down for someone who is completely new to brioche, to have it specified right there in the pattern, slide, don't turn, is just so useful and so helpful. So I think if you go from just having knit straight forever to suddenly you having to go past twice on every row, and if you've done brioche you'll understand, and if you haven't, when you come to do it you'll understand exactly what I'm talking about. Just to have those extra little pointers included in the pattern, I think were invaluable. Anyway, it brings me on to something actually. I noticed Sockmatician had come with a way of doing a 1-pass brioche, and I also saw Ellie from Skeindeer Knits talking about this sort of 1-pass brioche as well, and I think, you know, be really interested to follow what happens with that, because yeah, it does seem like there ought to be a way of twisting the yarns and working with both the colours at the same time to just go across, instead of having to do half the stitches and then come back and do the other half. So yeah, that's something I'm kind of interested to watch develop. Okay, so that's that. So yeah, that's 3 finished items and a couple of my works in progress. And I think probably if I leave it there, that's as good a place as any. I'll still have something to talk about next week then, in which case I don't get the most amount of knitting time. I'm a stay-at-home mum, but essentially, therefore that means I'm spending my time looking after my little boy. I'm not spending my time with my feet up knitting. I don't get a huge amount of time to knit during the day. I knit at night, so I have giant bags from staying up far too late in the night and knitting. But then I have to get up and the whole merry-go-round starts again in the morning. I am not complaining. I'm not at all. I love my little boy. I love my life. I love being a stay-at-home mum. I didn't have the luxury of being able to stay at home and look after my first son. I went back to work virtually immediately as he was born. He was only a few months old. So actually I find now there's a real privilege to be able to stay at home with my son and to watch him grow and develop. So yeah, anyway, that's enough about that. That's enough about me. Thank you very much indeed for joining me. I do hope that this hasn't been too disjointed and incoherent, and that if I make more episodes, that you might be tempted to join me again and see some more of what I'm doing and where I've got to with the things that you've seen today. So thank you very much. I'll see you again next time. Bye. The elephant in the room, as Kristen would say, is the sweater that I'm wearing. I can't believe what a tool I am. Anyway, yeah, you might have noticed a couple of times whilst I was bobbing up and down the jumper that I am wearing. This beautiful item is made in Eden Cottage yarns in their Titus 4-ply, which is a silk and merino. I'm not sure if it's superwash merino or whether it's just standard. Yeah, it's gorgeous. I will put the details. And this is by Eri, E-R-I. It's her ambient sweater. And yeah, I just love it. So it's got like a sort of slipped stitch yoke. It's knit top down in the round. Slipped stitch yoke with these sort of little holy details all the way around. And you separate for the sleeves, the body, and it's all just kind of knitted in the round. She's done a detail here where you have hem stitches, which I thought was hilarious. So you put a little fake hem in the edge because there is no hem because it's knitted in the round. She picks up the same slip stitch pattern for the sleeves. I wanted my sleeves super long. I kind of like them just a little bit past my wrist and onto my hands. So that was my decision. I knitted it a bit longer than the pattern suggested. And then she also picks up that same pattern. Let's see, you can't see it from there. On the, no she doesn't. So yeah, she picks up the same slip stitch pattern on the cuffs. Now then, regarding the fit of it, it's supposed to be straight down. It's supposed to be really quite boxy. Now, for me, I am 5'1" on my tiptoes. I'm 5'1", and I'm quite. Don't really want to use the word dumpy, but dumpy is the only word that's come into mind. So I have got wide hips and a big bum and stuff, and not really sort of that much on top, or at least before I was breastfeeding I didn't have anyway. So yeah, boxy on me, just, I don't know, it takes away all my shape. So I decided to just add in a few decreases and things just to give it a little bit more of a figure hugging shape. I don't know how much how wise that was, but anyway, what I did was I just did sort of, I measured from here to my waist, and every inch I did a decrease, and then from my waist out to my hips, every inch I did an increase back to that same stitch count from there. So I did knit two togethers and slip knit either side, depending on, you know, to get the decreases to kind of match each other, to mirror each other. And that was that. Oh, look at my dodgy underarm bit. Never mind. Hey ho. Say, I'm new to this lark. But yeah, so I was dead proud of myself actually for being able to just kind of fit this a little bit more to my shape than it already was. I know boxy's pretty trendy, and that there's a lot of boxy patterns out there, but I don't know. I just don't look good in boxy, or at least I don't think I look good in boxy. I don't think it suits me. I don't think it suits my shape. And there's so many patterns out there that are so beautiful that I would really like to knit, but they have this same sort of boxy shape. So really, yeah, I wanted to use this one as my practice run for, am I able to just kind of amend this pattern to me? That, to me, sounds insane as something that I would actually ever be able to do, because I am so new to knitting, you know. But now I can sort of confidently say, okay, great, I've got this pattern. It doesn't fit quite how I'd like it to, so I can make adjustments and do that. So yay, cool. This community has given me the confidence to do that, because I'll see people talking about having done similar stuff themselves on their podcast, and I think, right, it can't be that difficult to figure out then. So off we go, and I did it, and yay, it's worked. So woohoo, thank you everybody. So what's next? I had the most exciting email in the world this morning, and that was from Stephen and Penelope to let me know that my shipment is on the way. Basically, I have joined this year's Yarn Along. So there are going to be 3 separate mystery kits. I believe it's 1 a month starting this month, so June, July and then August. We're going to get a shipment with some yarn and an exclusive pattern and all sorts of other bits and bobs of goodies, and there are some incredibly talented indie dyers that are in the mix, and of course it's Stephen West, and so I'm just so excited. So that is going to be a cast on. Also, a brand new mystery knit along just started last week by a lady called Cassondra Rizzardi. I have already attempted to start this pattern, but rather than using the recommended kit, which was from 6 and 7 fibres, I decided I couldn't really justify purchasing any more yarn just at the moment with everything else I've got on. So I went stash diving. I made a start, and yeah, I'm horrible at choosing colours apparently. So either that, or I didn't believe in myself enough to carry on with what I was doing. So yeah, it didn't look very good. So I made a small start, and yeah, I ripped that all out. Really, really interesting knit along, I have to say. The concept is that you walk while you knit. Not really been able to do that because with a little baby boy, he's in a pram, so I can't really kind of push the pram and knit at the same time. Can't even, like, he can walk, he does walk, but on the road I would have to hold his hand. I can't possibly, like, sort of, I don't know, like do sort of some cripply crouching knitting whilst holding a toddler hand. It's just not going to work for me, I have to say. So it either be going out on my own once my husband comes back from work and knitting, and I don't know, I think I might just look a bit ominous. I might look a bit like some kind of crazy person, or more like a crazy person than I already do, whatever. So yeah, I think it's really, really cool for those that can do it, but for me that aspect of it just doesn't work. But it doesn't stop me wanting to sort of, I don't know, like potter around the house and knitting on something that's in my hands whilst I walk. You don't have to go outside, folks. You can just do it in the back garden. So yeah, that's the next thing to try, I think. Yeah, so what I might do is just wait up until a couple of extra parts have been released, have a look at how that actually looks, and then put my colour choices in, just so I can be a little bit more confident that what I've chosen is going to work. I don't want to do all the work and then it comes out and it just doesn't fit, and I can't possibly match the colours that were released in this gorgeous kit. So yeah, I'm kind of working in the dark with that one a little bit. I hope to be able to carry on with it. I do have another one of Cassandra's patterns actually on the needles already. That's something I'll show you next time. So yeah, I'd like to stick with it. I'd like to support her. I'd like to join in with this knit along. But yeah, what I did so far just was not good. So yeah, that got ripped out, and we'll start again at some point when all my other things are done. Anyway, that's enough. That's enough from me. I think I've done enough talking now. I will hopefully maybe see some of you again. Yeah, if you liked what you saw, please do like the video, please do subscribe, and my plan is to make a video rather better than this, about once every fortnight or so. So bye, thank you. Something else I've got coming up is that this weekend I am off to go and learn how to hand dye yarn. So there's a 3-hour course being run at a place called the Dyeworks. It's in Chipping Norton, and yeah, the course is being run by a lady called Hannah Mackey from HeyJ Yarns. So yeah, that should be really, really exciting. I'm really looking forward to doing that. So that's coming up this weekend. So yeah, hopefully next time I'll be able to show you the results of my first foray into hand dyeing. It's really exciting.